We will now recognize the doctoral degree recipients by department. First, we will have Professor Sudipto Banerjee, Chair of the Department of Biostatistics.
Thank you, and welcome everyone, and congratulations to the class of 2018. On behalf of my department, we are very pleased to present the doctoral candidates, doctoral students, graduating doctoral students. So let's start. Okay, sure, I'll do that. Okay, so whatever you think of biostatistics, it's hard to beat us in terms of innovative and exotic dissertation titles. So our first graduating student is Daniel Joshua Kohn, and his dissertation title, listen carefully, is Utilization of Low Dimensional Structure to Improve the Performance in High Dimensions. And he will be hooted by his co-chairs, Professor Gong Li and Professor Cristina Ramirez. Just wait for a second. Okay. Our next graduating student is Qian Li, and here's the title of his dissertation: Hierarchical Integration of Heterogeneous, Highly Structured Data, the Case of Functional Brain Imaging. So that's us. And the chair of his dissertation is Professor Donatella Telesca. Unfortunately, he's not able to make it today, so he will be hooted also by Professor Gong Li.
Next, we will have Professor Mike Prelip, Chair of the Department of Community Health Sciences.
Thank you. This is the best day of the year, right? It's just great. Congratulations, everyone. Okay, so I am excited to get to do this for the very first time. And our first doctoral student today is Deanna R. Bird. And Deanna Roger Bird. Oh, I see it right here. Now I'll get it down. You're my first one. Okay? Thank you. And the title of her dissertation is A Longitudinal Study of Black-White Disparities in Cognitive Aging. Today she's going to be hooded by her chair. Dr. Gilbert G., Professor G. Congratulations, Dr. Bird. Okay. Our next candidate is Elvira Jimenez, and And the title of her dissertation is Off-Time Dementia Caregiving, the Experience of Early Onset Dementia on Spousal Caregivers. Today she'll be heard by her chair, Professor Stephen Wallace. Congratulations, Dr. Jimenez. Okay, our next candidate is Imelda Padilla Frausto, and the title of her dissertation is Latinos' Use of Mental Health-Related Services, Using a Health Crit and Lat Crit Lens to Examine the Role of Perceived Ethnic Discrimination as a Socio-Environmental Consequence of Living in a Racialized Society. You get the award for the longest. Putting her today is the chair of her committee, Professor Stephen Wallace. Congratulations, Dr. Padilla Frausto. Okay, our next candidate is Helen Reese, and the title of Helen's dissertation is I'm Not Ready Yet, Intrapersonal and Interpersonal Processes Shaping the Adoption of Personal Emergency Response Systems Among Older Adults. Hooding her day will be her co-chairs, Professor Stephen Wallace and Professor Carol Anna Sensal. Congratulations, Dr. Reese. Our next candidate is Brenda Robles, and the title of her dissertation is Evaluating Community and Individual Level Psychosocial Factors to Improve Chronic Disease-Related Dietary Behaviors, a case study of Los Angeles County. Hooding her is Professor Courtney Thomas, the chair of her committee. Congratulations, Dr. Robles. Okay. And our next is Maria Elena de Trinidad Young, and the title of her dissertation is Producing Citizenship Position Through State Immigrant Policies, an examination of the relationships between health, policy, citizenship, and race in the United States. And Elena is being hooded by her chair of her committee, Professor Stephen Wallace. Congratulations, Dr. Young.
Next, Professor Michael Jarrett, Chair of the Department of Environmental Health Sciences.
Thank you, Dean Heyman. It's my pleasure to present the candidates for the doctorate degree in environmental health science. First, we have Savannah Carson. Her chair was Dr. Hilary Godwin. Her thesis was entitled The People of the Forest, Indigenous Voices for Agency, Sustainability, and the Health of Forest and Conservation. The biostatistics department may have the most complex titles, but we certainly have among the longest, I think. So, next we have John Diaz de Caro. His chair is Hillary Godwin, and she'll be hooding him. His thesis is entitled Combating Circulating Infectious Diseases in California, Evaluating New Approaches to Surveillance and the Cost of Outbreaks on Public Health Agencies. Next is Katie McNamara. Her chair is Wendy Robbins, and she'll be hooding her. This is a nice shorter title, The Health Effects of Rotating Shift Work in the Oil Industry. Next we have Tyler Watson, again chaired by Dr. Hillary Godwin. His thesis is entitled Emerging Topics in Food Insecurity, an Assessment of University Student Food Access and Urban Agriculture in Los Angeles.
Next, we will have Professor Oliver Hankinson, Director of Molecular Toxicology.
It's my pleasure to introduce our PhD student graduating this year, who's Michael Deverin. And Michael's chair is Robert Schistel, but unfortunately Dr. Schistel is in Europe at this time, so I will be hooding him. Where is the hood?
Next, we will have Professor Karen Michaels, Chair of the Department of Epidemiology.
Greetings. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce the doctoral candidates for the core science in public health, epidemiology. Our first candidate is Laura Jane Anderson. The topic of her doctoral thesis is Predictors of Repeat STIs and the Efficacy and Economic Impact of a Financial Incentive Program for STI HIV testing among men who have sex with men. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Javanbakht, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Anderson. Our next candidate is Zoe Gabrielle Baker. The topic of her thesis is the impact of partner factors on HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis and antiretroviral therapy adherence. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Gorbach, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Baker. Our next candidate is Chun Pin Chang. The topic of her doctoral thesis is glycemic index, glycemic load, genetic susceptibility, and their interactions with lung and upper aerodigestive tract cancers. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Zhuo Fang Zhang, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Chang. Our next candidate is Hilary Kyle Xu. The topic of the thesis is identifying longitudinal risk factors for anal high-risk HPV infections and strategies to better detect anal high-grade dysplasia for anal cancer screening in older men who have sex with men. The chair of his doctoral committee, Professor Javan Bakt, will assist with the hooding. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Xu. Our next candidate is not yet doctor, 1 second. Chen Xiaoling. The topic of her doctoral thesis is agricultural pesticide exposure, adverse birth outcomes, and childhood cancers in California. Professor Maeda will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Ling. Our next candidate is Caleb Lowe. The topic of his doctoral thesis is sexually transmitted diseases among older people in Los Angeles County in 2000 to 2011. The chair of his doctoral committee, Professor Dietels, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Liu. Our next candidate is Adam Reedhead. The topic of his thesis is tuberculosis disease incidence estimation among foreign-born persons in Los Angeles County, 2005 to 2011. The co-chairs of his thesis committee, Professor Dietels and Professor Civillo, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Reedhead. Our next candidate is Ai-Fan Shi. The topic of her thesis is Influences of Physical Activity on Risk of Parkinson's Disease and Cognitive Decline in Elderly Hispanics. Professor Maeda will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Shi. Our next candidate is Chelsea Shover. The topic of her thesis is How Substance Abuse, Health Insurance, and Social Determinants of Health Affect the HIV Prevention Continuum in Los Angeles. Focus on pre-exposure prophylaxis and treatment as prevention. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Gorbach, is assisting with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Schober. Our next candidate is Dana Lakshmi Tirumalai. The topic of her doctoral thesis is Association between HIV infection and intimate partner violence among married Indian women in Thane District, India. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Dietels, will assist with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Tirumalai. Our next candidate is Drew Westmoreland. The title of her thesis is Risky Business, Sexual Health Behavior, Butt Stuff, and Whether People Will Talk About It. We do fun stuff in epidemiology. The chair of her doctoral committee, Professor Javanbach, assisted with the hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Westmoreland.
Next, we will hear from Professor Jack Needleman, Chair of the Department of Health Policy and Management.
Thank you, Dean Hyman. On behalf of myself and my faculty, I want to also extend congratulations to the class of 2018. Robin? I am pleased to present the candidates for the doctoral degrees in our department. Our first candidate is Robin Flint McBride, who is receiving the Doctor of Public Health. The title of her dissertation is Applying System Science Methods to Risk-Based Disease Management and Population Oral Health. Her chair, Neil Halfin, will assist in her hooding. And congratulations, Dr. Flint McBride. Our next candidate is Ida Caterina Garcia Appendini. The title of her dissertation was The Effects of Mexico's Seguro Popular program on health-related outcomes, 10 years after its implementation. Her chair was Arturo Vargas Bustamante, who will assist in her hooding. Congratulations, Dr. Garcia Appendini. How do you pronounce your last name? Shikans. Thank you. Our next candidate is Adam Shikans. The title of his dissertation was The Impact of Adverse Childhood Experiences on Household Resources, Intergenerational Risk of Adversity, and Behavior Problems in Subsequent Generations. His committee chair was Paul Chung, who could not be here. He will be hooded by Neil Halfin, a member of his committee. Congratulations, Dr. Shikans. And our last candidate for today is Adrienne Wynn. The title of her dissertation was Evaluating Routine Testing and Treatment for Sexually Transmitted Infections Among Pregnant Women in Southern Africa. Her chairs were Rashan Bastani and Beth Glenn. Dr. Glenn will assist in her hooding. And congratulations, Dr. Wynn.
This concludes the presentation of our doctoral candidates. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, class of 2018, please rise? Stay risen. By the power vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I bestow upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy with all of the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations, class of 2018.